Well, I'll just share a few thoughts about someone who totally ripped me off, like ripped off my style so blatantly, and they're selling prints of it on their shop. And so I'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I just want to kind of let you know what's going on. Hi, my name is Tom Froese. I'm an illustrator and designer in Vancouver, British Columbia, and this is my vidcast where I answer your questions about illustration. So hey guys, it's nice to be back after a couple weeks of just being too busy to make these videos, but I always appreciate that you guys come back and watch and keep up with what's going on here. Anyway, so enough with the apologies. Yeah, what is it? It's almost the end of October, and so I'll just share a few updates and a brief thought with you about something that, well, I'll just share a few thoughts about someone who totally ripped me off, like ripped off my style so blatantly, and they're selling prints of it on their shop. And so I'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I just want to kind of let you know what's going on here. So totally unrelated to illustration, as a lot of you guys might know, I love running. It's my new favorite thing. I probably like it more than illustration right now. But on Saturday, I ran a 30-kilometer trail race that's kind of on the local mountain here. I came in 10th place overall, 7th place male, and 4th place in my age group. Now, what is interesting for me about that is, of course, I'm obviously happy with the result. I'm not like a particularly athletic person. I was never a very strong runner growing up, at least not in the kind of shorter distances, the fast. I was always almost the slowest runner ever. And so me today is like, haha, I'm, a better runner now, and that makes me feel good. But I think being on a more serious note, what I really take from this is that it's only the training, by putting in the time in the training and having some guidance on how to train, and then setting those goals and then working toward them, putting in the time. That's the only way I've been able to become a stronger long distance runner. And I keep getting stronger. My next race is going to be a full marathon, and then hopefully in the not too far future, I'm going to try an ultra marathon. These are things that I would never have imagined possible for me. And so why am I doing these? Well, that's a whole other thing, but mostly it's just because I enjoy it. But I think what is happening for me in running, where I'm actually coming in above average in my age group, at least, actually overall, in the last few races I've come in over average, above average, and sometimes a lot better. And this is parallel to my experience as an illustrator. I'm not saying I am the best illustrator in the world, but I am enjoying above average success as an illustrator. And there's all kinds of factors that go into that, and I really don't want to sound like I'm humble bragging or bragging outright, but I don't think that I ever was a very strong artist either. Just like I was a very slow runner, as a younger person, I always had artistic ability, but I certainly didn't have the drive or the motivation or the direction. And in fact, I failed my senior art class in high school. I just lost interest in really trying to make art and to learn the history of art and stuff like that. But I'm going to go back and forth between my art and my running here, if you'll forgive me for getting a little bit mixed up here. But there was a certain point when I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to become first a designer and then an illustrator, and I created a goal. That goal or ambition was to become an illustrator, to be paid to make art. And then I also had a desire, like an affinity. I love design. I found design and I found illustration. I love these things. Most of us who want to be illustrators, it's like you discover it and you're like, this exists, this is amazing, I want to do that too. And so with illustration and design, I really just latched onto it and I became obsessive about it. And then the next thing that I had to do is actually put in the work to actually get there. And this is the thing that I think a lot of us get stuck on, because it's hard. This is the hardest part, is there's a goal at the end, and then there's this whole process you need to get to that goal. And that process involves just learning the fundamentals, getting good at drawing, getting good at typography, learning all the rules of typography and layout, taking night classes, building a portfolio, feeling vulnerable. You start off not being as good as you want to be, so you're aware of that. You're aware of how much you fall short, and there's all those negative feelings. But overall, that work and that process, I enjoyed that. It was like eating steak and potatoes for me. It was what I really wanted to do, and I knew that if I did that enough, I would do more than I ever thought possible, and be closer at least to those goals that I had set for myself. And so it's the same with running. Once I started realizing, oh, I actually like running, I set a goal for myself. I set up a race. This is my first race. That was back in May. And then I had the structure and guidance of various, in my case it was like YouTube videos, and I have apps that kind of help me kind of structure what running type I'm going to do every day to build up to my race day goal. And what I found was I really enjoyed that process. It wasn't just that I wanted to go in a race and try to run this long distance. It was the process itself. I saw a lot of value in that. Apart from actually seeing myself grow and evolve as a runner and become stronger, I also really appreciated the structure, and I liked that it was something I could do because I don't commute, because I work here in my house. I have nowhere to go most days anyway. I'm kind of homebound or whatever. And so having an outdoor activity that got me outside the house and going and doing something and using my body, I liked that. That was part of it. And so there's this nice kind of intersection of this goal and then the process to getting to that goal, which is also enjoyable. And this is the same experience I've had in my illustration career and my pursuit thereof. It's been the same in that as it has been with running. Now, I don't expect I'm ever going to have a running career. I just like it. So, and I love that I'm learning all these parallels. It's really fun just to see how, in life there are patterns, and we can see them expressed in very, very different things, like in my case, illustration and running. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, the big takeaway here is that I think if you want to enjoy any kind of success in whatever it is that you're trying to do, and if you're watching this, it's probably something related to art, illustration, design. There are some, let's say, common habits that we all share, common habits and tendencies that get us further than other people. And so again, you have an ambition, you have a goal, you have this thing that you want that's bigger than where you are now. And then you have you do the work required to get to that goal, and you enjoy that for the most part. Or if you don't always enjoy it, you always see a purpose both in the long term and in the short term. The other habit or tendency that we all share is that we have mentors and heroes. And so I haven't talked a lot about this yet, but this is, so in my running sort of training, I live kind of away from the city, so I'm not really part of any running clubs or anything like that, but I definitely have people that I watch and learn from on YouTube and on Instagram. And so by following these people and watching their videos on certain topics, much the same way you guys might watch some of my videos on certain topics, I can learn from them, and I have learned a lot. I've recovered from injuries thanks to these videos. I've pushed through some really hard efforts because I know that I was encouraged to really push myself and challenge myself based on these videos that I've watched, and these real people on the other ends of their cameras giving their expertise and advice. to me in that way. And I think just as important as having these kind of big heroes, these people who are actually doing pretty extraordinary things, people running race times I'll never run or might never run. You never want to say never. I also have people kind of more local to me that are also more in my range of abilities. And what this does is it gives me a peer group to sort of work within and push against. And so within that small peer group, I find that there are people who are a little bit better than me, and then there are people who I am better than, and like at least in terms of athletic ability. And so this gives me a sense of like what my lane is, where's my place, where do I fit. And so it gives you a sense of where you are right now. It gives you some people kind of close by to challenge, and I certainly mostly in terms of like that person who's just a little bit better than me, I want to beat them. I have that healthy competitive desire to just be better than that person, to somehow get past them. And it's a friendly competition thing. I'm not trying to, elbow them out of the way or anything like that. One good friend, he's a super athletic guy, and he's like super buff. I'm not that buff, and I'm actually I wasn't, but I am now a stronger runner than him. And that gives me a lot of encouragement to say, like, I can do more than I thought I could. And then you have those bigger heroes, like the people who are kind of more on the world stage, that are celebrities in a sense, or in actuality. And those are the people that you look up to and you learn from. And you want to grow past where you are in your peer group and toward that bigger ideal, that bigger hero kind of size achievement within your means, within whatever is possible. So that is the other element, I think, that helps you succeed in things. And this is the same thing in illustration. I have like my big heroes, people living and dead that I look up to, from whom I've learned, and they're doing amazing work that I could barely ever dream to touch in terms of their achievement. And then I have people more in my own peer group, and historically there's always been people kind of around me who are better than me, and I aspire to be like them, or to pass that ability. And then there's it's just that constant pushing against and being led toward being better within your peer group. A few years ago, I would never have dreamed that I'd be working for big tech companies like Airbnb and Yahoo, which I now have and still do continually. Like Yahoo's a recurring client, has been for about a year now. And so I would never have dreamed that a few years ago. And so those were achievements that people far ahead of me had. And it was almost by following those people far ahead of me that gave me that drive and that encouragement that this is possible. This is something that I can work toward. So that's my thought about my race experience on Saturday. So anyway, I did much better than I thought I would, and I'm super, super excited about it and super encouraged. And this week I'm recovering. I'm trying not to do too much running, and it's a big hard to get used to just kind of not running. I've been doing so much training, over 200, 300 kilometers every month. And so kind of paring that back down to just like 15 kilometers this week has been really hard for me to just like accept that, but there it is. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to share with you is just this experience that I had recently of someone ripping off my illustration work. And so the backstory is that I got an email last week from someone just asking some questions about illustration, and typically I don't like answer these questions right away. I'll sit on it, think about it, maybe I can make a video about it, and then share the expertise with everyone to enjoy once and for all. But anyway, I responded kind of quickly back to her, and we had a back and forth, and I was trying to help her through some questions she had. And then I decided I'd go and take a look at her portfolio just to see, we've been talking, I should actually go look at her work. And I could definitely tell she'd been influenced by my techniques and my style, which is totally cool, totally fine. I'm all about being influenced by other people and being inspired, and very flattered that I would have that influence on her. But when I went to her Instagram account, I saw a few images down, an illustration that looked almost identical. A part of it looked almost identical to an illustration that I made a few years ago. And I was immediately really irked. I was like, what? Come on. It looked like it had been traced from an illustration I'd done a few years ago. It was modified a little bit. Looks like she did her due diligence to sort of like, you know, make it a little bit different, but it wasn't enough. It was, anyone could look at my illustration and her illustration, see that she blatantly, more or less traced there's one part of the illustration. I'm not going to talk about what that illustration looked like, and I don't want to name her because I don't believe in shaming people publicly before I confront them myself and try and work it out. And I'm actually kind of working out right now whether to confront her about it. But I just want to say I'm not threatened when someone like this copies me, even though she's, you know, she has on her Instagram account and she's, you know, crediting herself with this part of this illustration. And not only that, she's actually selling it on her shop, which I find crazy. And I just can't believe that someone would do that with bad intentions. I just feel like she doesn't really understand how inappropriate it is what she did. And so I just have to say, you know, do I want to go and bully her? Do I want to make her feel intimidated or something like that? Of course not. I don't want to go and lecture her. I don't enjoy confrontations at all. So right now I'm kind of weighing out, do I go and bring it up to her? Now the only reason I would bring it up to her, in all honesty, is that if anyone saw my work and noticed that it was the same as hers, I would hate for them to think that I copied her, or almost just as kind of undesirable is that if they were to see her work and think that I did it, because a part of it is very much my kind of signature style. And no offense to her, but I find the appropriation of my illustration in that way a little bit awkward, you know. It wasn't done the way that I would do it. Yeah, maybe my ego and my pride and my reputation is at stake. Other than that, you know, it's just like annoying. And honestly, I'm not as angry about it as I am a little bit sorry for people who do things like this, because it's the analogy I came up with this morning when I was writing is it's kind of like a young snake that runs into a shed skin of an older snake. That older snake maybe has a beautiful pattern, nice colors on its skin, and it shed that skin, and this young snake finds it and decides, you know, here I want to be like that guy, so I'm just gonna wear that snake's skin. But of course, it's not his skin, it's not going to fit him properly, it's going to be bunchy and baggy and ultimately awkward. And this is kind of the risk you run. If you copy another person's style, you're basically putting on their clothes, you're putting on their voice, and it's going to look awkward because it's not you. And this is like more and more and more as I make these videos, as I make Skillshare classes, as I write, as I speak. My mission is becoming to encourage people to be themselves. Yes, be influenced, be inspired by people, sometimes even imitate them. Yes, there's a place for that and a time for that. But your goal should be to bring you to your work, because the world doesn't need duplicates of anyone else, not of me or anyone else. It needs more you, right? And that's the power of art, is it's your expression, it's your perspective, and you're selling yourself and your audience short when you only want to imitate and only want to hide behind other people's ideas and styles. And the hard work is getting from where you are now. If you only know, if you're better at imitating and using other people's ideas, we all start there, right? So just don't be too discouraged. We all start there. But if all you do is that and want to stay there, and you don't want to do the work of developing your voice, going through the vulnerability and the pain and the effort and sometimes getting lost for months and years as you figure that out. If you don't want to do that, then you may never find your true voice. You may never find your true style. And that for me would be the ultimate tragedy, and that's what I want to help people with. So anyway, my battery's about to die, or not my battery, my tape is about to run out here. So I'm gonna just say thanks for watching. Just try and bring more you into your work, and I just want to encourage you that you have a lot to bring to your work. Anyway, if you like this video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying this channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.